Shri Ganesha Sharada Gurubhyo Namaha Agajanana Padmarkam Gajananam Aharnisham Anekadam Tam Bhaktanam Ekadantam Upasmahe. Welcome to all for this session on Ganesha Purana to chapter 57. In the previous part of this Ganesha Purana, we have seen how because of Daman Tripura and the fear of objection of Parvati, who went to her father for the refuge. And then later, Shiva, Parvati was interested in reuniting with Shiva. And in that connection, her father, Himavat, he told her to perform the Ganesha Chaturthi Vrata. But then, after hearing the entire procedure, she asked who all had done it in the past. Then the king went on telling her the story of how Shiva himself explained about the Ganesha Chaturthi Vrata to Skanda, and while narrating that, he told the story of King Kadama, who had performed the Ganesha Chaturthi Vrata in his previous life, and because of that reason, he had a good fortune in the present life also. And then he went on to tell the story of Nala, who again, because of performing the Ganesha Chaturthi Vrata in the previous life, had got a very good fortune, lot of wealth in the present life also. Further, Himavat told the story of King Chandrangada and his wife Indumati, who got separated because of various reasons and finally got reunited again because of the same Ganesha Chaturthi Vrata. And then, hearing all these stories, Parvati was so immensely happy and she performed the same Vinayaka Chaturthi Vrata on Bhadrapada, the fourth day on the Bhadrapada Vinayaka Chaturthi Vrata. And because of that reason, Shiva came to her hermitage and the couple got reunited. And after that, after telling all this story to Vyasa, Brahma, who was narrating these stories, he told that he will continue with another story, and the story begins now. Bhigu, who is earlier telling this story to the King Somakanta, if you remember in the first few chapters, it was King Somakanta who was suffering from leprosy. He came to the hermitage of Bhigu, and the sage Bhigu told him that as he keep hearing to this Ganesha Purana, his leprosy will get cured. Mm. Of course, it is not nothing unscientific here. Probably Brigu was taking Somakanta through some kind of a medication and a medical treatment, and in the meantime, the treatment to the body will bear its effect if the mind also cooperates with it. So probably for that reason, Brigu went on to tell him about the Ganesha Purana, so that with that King Somakanta will get confidence and regain his interest in the life. So Brigu continued the story. I have told you the glorification in its entirety, O king, and now hear once more what Vyasa had heard from Brahma's mouth. So Somakanta asked him, what did Vyasa of immeasurable intellect hear from Brahma's mouth? Tell me, O great sage, because I have still not had enough of Ganesha Purana. So Brigu told, after he had heard this, Vyasa respectfully asked Brahma for another tale, and faultless man, he intelligently recited for that inquisitive person. So Vyasa asked Brahma, tell me more, O Brahma, about that excellent tale of Gananatha, as my craving to hear more of that good tale of Vignesha is increasing. So Brahma started telling another story. O Vyasa, Listen to another of my absorbing tales about what those people, beginning with Shurasena, experienced concerning Gajanana. In the middle country, in a delightful city called Sahasra, there was a very powerful king called Shurasena who was thoroughly conversant with the Vedas and the Vedangas. He was rich, handsome, generous to his people, a sacrificer and a protector of his people. He possessed the three powers, was proud, accomplished in the six virtues, intelligent in the application of four stratagems, killer of enemies, endowed with four kinds of strength, and he was devoted to the gods and Brahmins. Entire earth was always under his subjection, and his city on the earth shone more than Indra's city. His wife was called Punyashila, Punyashila, as she was distinguished for her merit, and in the sphere of the triple world there was nobody like her in beauty. By her qualities of loyalty to her husband, she became accomplished in modesty, a genuine Arundhati, happens to be wife of sage Vasista, and she is known for being very much loyal to her husband. And by avoiding the fault of envy, she was quite simply a genuine Anasuya. Anasuya was again another such great woman and wife of sage Atri. Once, when that King Shurasena was seated in the royal assembly hall and surrounded by his ministers, who were most excellent heroes, he saw moving in the sky an excellent aerial vehicle. It looked like a fire and stole the fiery energy from one's eye. Courtiers fond of listening to singing were with the king and in their agitation asked what it was and dispatched messengers to investigate about that aerial vehicle. The messengers then departed in order to observe the vehicle which so resembled the sun. But due to a glance from one of the king's messengers, who himself was a leprous son of a Vaishya, the vehicle finally fell to the ground. After returning from there, they then announced to the king, O great king, that vehicle causes merit and it is divine. But even though it shines intensely, that vehicle fell to earth because of a glance from a leprous person. Absolutely overjoyed, the king then mounted his horse and went there with a pair of his ministers, eager to see the vehicle. Accompanied by his own subjects and to the strains of many musical instruments, he reached the vehicle. Still thinking about his great luck, there they saw Shakra, Chakra basically Indra, the king of the heaven, and leaving their vehicles, they bowed to him, furnished as he was with various decorations and accompanied by all the host of gods. With his hand folded, it's the king Shurasena, with his hands folded in supplication, the king said to Indra, the killer of Bali, this ground has now become very auspicious. My birth is auspicious. My previous births have produced success, and all our eyes are now auspicious. O husband of Shaji, because while in the world of mortals, I and my attendants have experienced this vision of you. Otherwise, why the King of Heaven would come down to the world of mortals unless someone do a penance for him, to whom the worlds and the gods led by Brahma and Shiva are subject? You do not become visible other than as a result of performance of 100 horse sacrifices. This is basically the Ashwamedha Yaga. So I do not know by virtue of what merit all these people have now seen you, or how your vehicle fell onto the earth. Tell me now, O Lord, and destroy the doubts I have. Where have you been, and where will you go? Then Indra replied to him, hear about this great wonder Narada narrated to me. I will tell it to you. So listen attentively, King, because Indra is telling him where exactly he had been to. So that was basically a curiosity that was aroused because of a story told by Narada. Shukra or Indra, he was telling. This was told by Narada himself. Narada is narrating this story. O Indra, I went to the world of mortals to the hermitage of Bhrushundi, who, having assumed Ganesha's appearance, was reciting continuously. Bhrushundi was a sage and he has the appearance of Ganesha, Gajanana. He had even a trunk in the mid of his eyes. By meditating on him, I then realized the quite amazing phenomenon that his appearance represented. That sage who had Gajanana's real appearance then honored me, and after I had bowed to him and bid him farewell, I came to visit you, O Indra, performer of 100 sacrifices, 100 Ashwamedha yagnas. Such a likeness has not been seen anywhere on earth because even Narada or nobody has seen such a great devotee of Gajanana who had, because of his devotion, had got a form similar to that of Gajanana, almost like an elephant face, at least having a trunk at the middle of his two eyes. So then Indra asked Narada, after honoring Narada, Indra is telling this to Shurasena, sorry. After honoring Narada, I immediately left him and have come in intense anticipation in order to see a sage of this type. After mounting my excellent vehicle, my mind agitated like the maruts, and seeing and honoring that sage whose body had an elephant's head, I bowed to Bhrushundi and accepted his worship. Then I departed with my retinue, eager to reach back to Amaravati, the capital of the heaven, and the court where the court of Indra is located. But in the meantime, this vehicle has come to your city. It fell on to this piece of ground because of the glance of this evil doing leper, your messenger, one of your messenger, O king. I have now told you everything. Here, incidentally, that leprous person had a very bad deed but did by him in the past life, and because of that reason, he was suffering from leprosy, and because his vision fell on the vehicle of Indra, it was so treacherous that it could able to bring down the Indra's vehicle itself to the ground. Then Shurasena asked him, tell me, O Lord Indra, by what austerity did Bhrushundi attain Gajanana's real appearance? Although I have been listening to this immortal tale about Bhrushundi, I have still not had enough. Thus ends the 57th chapter of Upasana Khanda of the glorious Ganesha Purana, in which we have heard a new story from Brahma, in which he was telling the conversation that happened between Indra and Surasena. One day, while Surasena was sitting in his court, he saw a bright looking aerial vehicle in the sky. But then, when his messengers followed the vehicle, because it was seen by one of the leprous person, the vehicle fell down to earth. So, what was the bad deed done by that leprous person, because of which, when he looked at the aerial vehicle of Indra, it fell down to earth? Now, the king Shurasena, he went to Indra. He was asking him where he had been to. So then he told about Narada was telling about the sage Bhrushundi who, because of his devotion to Gajanana, had got an appearance similar to that of Gajanana himself. So now in the following chapters, Indra will narrate the story of Bhrushundi. We will also keep following that. Namaste Sharada Devi काश्मीरपुरवासिनि त्वामहं प्रार्थये नित्यं विद्यादानं च देहि मे. Goodbye.